Hello my little learners, you can call me Lovegood, and I hope you enjoy this video. Here are just a few things before we get started. Today I'm presenting you with part 1 of chapter 15, titled Call It Fate, Call It Karma by The Strokes by KittyKqt on AO3. This one is really echoey and I'm sorry if you hear any noises in the back. It's a very echoey room and it's not very soundproof, but it's the room I have to record in today. But anyways, thank you for tuning in to listen to me, but that's enough of my rambles and jambles, and let's get right into the fic. This is the summary. Summary. Loyalty and new faces. Old friends and quirk malfunctions. Let's get right into the fic. Izuku had done it. Natives' funerals playing live in the bar, and Izuku had to swallow his bile. He hadn't killed him. He had to repeat that over and over. He hadn't been the one to cut Native's wrists. He hadn't been the one to shoot him. But he had given the information, and the images that the HPSC had released were sickening. The information of how to disarm Native's quirk, where he was, who he was with. The League had done more. They had desecrated his body. The only comfort was knowing it was all staged. The testimonies and eulogies were real, but Native had moved back to the US. No one but his wife and the higher-ups in the HPSC knew. The pain was real, despite the reasoning being staged.
I guess you've proved yourself a useful ally, storyteller,
Shigaraki said from where he was lounged on the couch. What? Izuku asked, tightening his fist. He couldn't waste too much of his own energy here. He had to attend the finals in the morning. But tonight, he was making sure his place was secured in the League.
Storyteller, you gave us a story and we wrote the finale,
Shigaraki explained, standing up and stretching.
Now tell us your name.
Izuku sighed, pulling a stool out again, making sure they knew where he was. Ghost, I told you before. Shigaraki snarled, his nails digging deeper. Izuku stuck his hands into his pockets, trying not to do the same.
Your real name.
I'd rather not. He tapped the wood, the sound echoing in the room. I believed I've proved myself enough. Kurogiri nodded as he poured a drink and pushed it across the bar to a fuming Shigaraki. I do believe you have. Izuku went to speak when a knock on the door gave him pause. Kurogiri seemed to materialize near the door as he opened it, outstretching an arm into the room in a greeting. A man walked in first, a cigar dangling between his teeth as he stepped out of the way for two new people. A girl who couldn't be much older than Izuku, her shoes hitting the floor loudly as she bounded on her heels, and a young man covered in burns who ran his fingers through his hair, looking around. I brought some new ones for you. Disclaimer, I do not know how Girin sounds and I cannot be asked to search it up, sorry. The man with the cigar spoke, smoke billowing from his mouth. The others will meet at a later time. The bumped one huffed as he finished looking around the room. And here I was, thinking you were actually worth two shits to come see. His gaze settled on Shigaraki as he grinned. I only see two shits. Don't kill them, the man with the cigar said, turning around and shutting the door behind him. Instantly, the girl bounded up to the TV, crossing her arms behind her back as she leaned forward. I heard Mr. Staney was a part of this place. She spun around, huffing. Where is he? On the run, Izuku said, adjusting how he was sitting, the bar stool moving slightly. He laughed, pressing his fingers to his throat, making sure the sound travelled. Do you have surveillance? The burnt one asked, his hand lighting on fire. Kurogiri hummed, appearing behind the bar again. There are three of us here. He paused, taking a glass down before looking at the girl. As my friend said, Stain is currently on the run. Shigaraki hissed, scratching his neck. The bumped one extinguished his hand, huffing. Then I guess we'll be on our way. He grabbed the back of the girl's shirt, pulling her back as she dead-weighted. What's your goal? Izuku asked, and the man paused. Okay, who the fuck is that kid? He asked, turning around and dropping the girl. She popped back up, skipping over to where Izuku was. He moved back before she could touch him as she felt the chair, confused. An ally, Name's Ghost. The man huffed, crossing his arms. You seriously expect me to believe there's a ghost here? Izuku ran his fingers through the man's arm as he shivered, his hand lighting up again. You've got a fire quirk. Why is a death quirk so hard to believe? The man huffed, the flame snuffing out as he frowned. My goal is none of your concern. He went to turn around again, but Izuku stopped him. You go on your own. You won't get very far. It would make it easier to catch him before you could do any real harm, but it made more sense to keep them here. He could report back easier. You are very easily recognizable, with all the burns and such. What would staying here get us? He asked, crossing his arms as the girl bounded over again. Izuku moved, settling on the edge of the couch. Allies. One with a common goal. He paused, letting his words settle. Unless your plans don't align. I just want to do what Staney is doing, the girl said, her smile never leaving her face, and drink as much blood as I can. The man scoffed, but sat at the bar. I'll stay for now. Name's Darby. Kirigiri nodded, setting another glass next to the first. Anything I can get for you, Darby? The hardest thing you have, he said, sighing. The girl plopped down on the couch, looking over to Izuku. Are you any cute? Oh, name's Toga, by the way, she said, kicking her feet up. Hard to say, being incorporeal and all. He tried joking, tucking his legs up. Talking to girls was easy when no one could see you flush. If you even could. Boo, she pouted, flopping over. You don't happen to have any blood for me, do you? Izuku went to speak before Shigaraki cut him off.
Ghost, did you manage to get into the stronghold?
Izuku laughed, moving over to him. He growled slightly, trying to watch Izuku as the sound moved. Course I did. Don't underestimate me. UA security is nothing. Shigaraki nodded like he understood, and Izuku's gaze narrowed. He must have been behind the break-in he kept hearing people talk about. The doors had become dust.
Do you have any information for me?
Are we discussing this with them? Izuku asked, standing beside Shigaraki, who jumped slightly, spinning around. You sure trusted them easily?
Kieran suggested them, and I trust him,
Shigaraki said, sitting down beside Darby, who huffed, sipping from his glass.
Do you have my information?
I can, Izuku said, shrugging. What do you need? Darby set the glass down, groaning. This ain't hard enough, mist. He turned to where Izuku was behind Shigaraki, his eyes narrowing. Why do you trust him? You can't even see him. He has proved useful, Kirigiri simply said, pouring another drink. Some information on the students, relationships, and quirks. Izuku hummed, floating beside Darby. Why? Why do you need to know? Darby asked, raising an eyebrow, turning around. Because unlike you, I have my goals, and fighting children does not fit into them. Izuku settled on the empty bar stool, tapping his fingers on the counter. So, why? Kirigiri nodded. Understandable. He poured a glass of milk, sliding it across the table to Toga, who bounded over. We are looking to recruit a student from their summer camp, a powerful one. Izuku was going to be sick. Putting himself here was one thing, but the idea of one of the students joining them was painful. Nezu would not be happy. Anyone in particular?
Bakugo Katsuki,
Shigaraki said, grinning. Izuku was glad no one could hear the gasp that came from him as he shut off Prison Mike's quirk. Shit, shit, shit. Why him? He did his best to keep his voice steady as Darby huffed again. He's strong. A good member for our cause with his anger, Kirigiri said slowly, pouring another glass for Darby. Izuku wasn't about to share the fact that he was using the watered-down bottle. Okay, Izuku said, shaking his head. Just him? All you can. Kirigiri cleaned up, setting the bottle down. Shigaraki huffed, standing up. The attention was off him for too long. Just get me what I want, he ordered, and Izuku rolled his eyes. By tomorrow. It would be too long away. And with more people to watch, it was too dangerous to go back to Nezu now, but he had promised to be there for the finals today. Nezu will know what to do. Aye, aye, Captain, Izuku said in a mocking tone. Shigaraki growled as Izuku laughed. I will be back, my dear comrades. He bowed, even though they couldn't see him. He still paused before messing with his bonds, waiting for anything else, any reason to stay. But when conversation shifted to types of alcohol and video games, Izuku pulled on Eraserhead's rope. He blinked at the new room, large cameras spread on the wall. Luckily, he didn't need to alert anyone else to his presence, as Nezu was perched in a chair, a grin on his face and a cup of tea balanced in his paw. Hawks was in the progress of beating the shit out of Kirishima, his feathers trying to burrow into the hardened cracks. Izuku groaned, watching Shoji and Yaoyorozu talk as Kirishima just got attacked. He had paired the three of them up against the number 3 for a few reasons. Going against someone as strong as Hawks, he had hoped Yaoyorozu would realize how powerful a quirk was, both for offense and defense, and Shoji was supposed to be the lookout for the feathers while allowing him to dodge them to get close enough to Hawks as Kirishima distracted him to put the handcuffs on. But it was more of a mess than he thought, as Yaoyorozu kept saying something then shaking her head. Maybe she wasn't the right choice to help them out. He shook his head, touching Nezu's paw just barely, his hand phasing through. Nezu's whiskers moved slightly as he nodded, putting the cup down. "I will be right back," he said, standing up slowly. "Wait, why?" Miss Joke asked, looking around the other heroes to watch Nezu. "You would never not want to see your kids being attacked. Did something change since I've last been here?" She tipped her head to watch Eraserhead, smirking. "He got a joke or something, Kitty?" Eraserhead groaned, rolling his eyes, and Izuku followed Nezu out to the door shutting behind them. "So, what would you like to discuss, my dear pupil?" Nezu asked, turning around with a grin. Izuku watched as the cameras in the small side room turned off, settling in a downward position. He shivered slightly as Nezu chuckled. "You should have some information." Izuku pressed his hand to his throat, nodding. "They got more members. 2 for now, though others are coming." He pulled his hand from his throat, rubbing it slightly. Damn, he was really running out of energy. "Training camp. They know. They want Bakugo." Nezu noticed the slip-up. His whiskers twitched as he nodded. "Splendid! We are very lucky to have you, my dear ghost." He clapped his hands together, nodding like he knew something Izuku didn't, walking back to where they were. "What about Bakugo?" Nezu paused, turning around. "Give them what they want. I trust you to admit what is needed. Of course, we will still attend our camp. It has been a while in the making." He clapped his hands together again. "Now, are you ready to watch our students fight the heroes? Bringing in some extras was a wonderful idea." Izuku nodded, even though Nezu couldn't see him. Heading back into the observation room, he settled himself right behind Eraserhead, his eyes scanning the end of the fight. Hawks had managed to knock Kirishima down, grinning as he looked around. Yaoyorozu finally stepped up, looking very confident with a large flamethrower in her hands. It was a good idea, but she had run out of time to use it as Hawks' attention was no longer divided. As he thought, Hawks managed to get within range, knocking Yaoyorozu back and taking the flamethrower for himself. Izuku groaned as the buzzer was called. Time officially out. He was glad he had talked Nezu out of only letting the ones who had passed attend camp. Instead, it was more on what each one needed, which Izuku would be talking with Nezu about later. But for now, he yawned, shutting his eyes. He needed to regain strength for tomorrow. Alrighty, my little Lunas, that's a wrap of this one. So, Izuku is finally in good standing in the league. Glad Native isn't actually dead, even though not a lot of people know that. I'm glad he's not. We got Darby and Toga, officially. Ignore my voice for Giran. I do not know how he sounds. I could not remember. Oh my goodness, my Darby voice was horrible. It kept just not working. I could not get his voice right in this chapter. Maybe it's because my voice is already like halfway to like death. But yeah, it was not working for me today. But yeah, I love this half of the chapter. There's obviously another half. But yeah, training camp is coming up. I'm excited for that. Nervous, but excited. Maybe Bakugo will finally learn about Izuku. Again, I cannot remember what happens in this fic because of how long I read it ago. So, you know, I'm on the same board as you. So, my little Lunas, this is a little reminder that you might have something you need to do or check. I hope you will have a fantastic time wherever and whenever you may be, day, night, dusk, dawn, low tide, high tide, whatever it is for you. You can call me Lovegood. And that was part 1 out of 2 of Chapter 15, Call It Fate, Call It Karma by The Strokes by KittyKqt on AO3. Again, the link to this fic will be in the pinned comment by me on this video, and tags are in the description as well as warnings. Bye, yellow learners!